Okay. He lays out a little information here about generals and being in high command. So we're talking about CEOs, we're talking about senior leadership. When one occupies a high command, there are many things which he does not see. The general-in-chief, even a division commander, can only escape this failing by great activity, moved by strict conscientiousness and aided by clairvoyance. So you have to be able to see. You have to have clairvoyant skills. This failing extends to those about him, to his heads of services. So you're the CEO. You're not going to know everything that's going on. The only way you do know what's going on is by being really proactive in finding out what's going on. And by the way, it's not just you that doesn't know. All your other people in the C-suite, they don't know what's going on either. You lose a lot of that stuff unless you're super proactive. Now, here's some examples. These men live well, sleep well. The same must be true of all. They have picked well-conditioned horses. The roads are excellent. They are never sick. The doctors must be exaggerating sickness. They have attendants and doctors. Everybody must be well looked after. Something happens which shows abominable negligence, common enough in war. With a good heart and a full belly, they say, but this is infamous, unheard of. It could not have happened. It is impossible. So you got to be careful of that detachment when you get to the senior leadership positions, when you start going, oh, those guys in the front lines. Cool. What's wrong with it? What can they possibly be complaining about? It can't be that bad out there. Actually, it can. Now we'll talk about a little micromanagement. Back to the book. Today, there is a tendency whose cause should be sought on the part of superiors to infringe on the authority of the inferiors. This is general. It goes very high and is furthered by the mania for command. Right? People that want to be controlling everything. It results in the lessening of the authority of subordinate officers in the minds of their soldiers. So when you're micromanaging, you're hurting the authority of your subordinate leadership. This is a grave matter, as only the firm authority and prestige of subordinate officers can maintain discipline. The tendency to oppress subordinates, to want to impose upon them in all things the views of the superior, not to admit of honest mistakes, right? We don't want to make mistakes, so we want to impose on them all things, the views of the superior, not to admit honest mistakes, and to reprove them as faults, to make everybody, even down to the private, feel that there is only one infallible authority, and that's me. A colonel, for instance, sets himself up as the sole authority with judgment and intelligence. He thus takes all initiative from subordinate officers and reduces them to a state of inertia coming from their lack of confidence in themselves and from fear of being severely reproved. How many generals before a regiment think only of showing how much they know? Ugh, don't be that leader. They lessen the authority of the colonel. That is nothing to them. They have asserted their superiority. True or false, that is what is essential. With cheeks puffed out, they leave, proud of having attacked discipline. That one really bothers me. But it's, here we are. 1840 we're talking about. 1860 we're talking about. 1865, 1880. We're talking about micromanagement. Right? We're talking about the upper echelon not knowing these problems that we deal with businesses all the time at echelon front. This is what we deal with. And it's hard for people to see that they're doing this because they don't know it. Even though this is such a common trait that we can go back thousands of years and see, people don't recognize it. Oh, this one bothers me. Ask much in order to obtain a little is a false saying, a source of errors, and an attack on discipline. One ought to obtain what one asks. It is only necessary to be moderately reasonable and practical. So this is like, hey, Echo, we need to sell 10,000 of these new units we've made. And what I'm really hoping is that you sell 1,000. That's not a good way to do it. If I want you to sell 1,000, that's what I want you to make. I want you to make 1,000 of these new units. Okay, make 1,000. I don't tell you make 10,000 and hope that you can know. Well, it's a disaster. Don't do that.